All right, so it is very, very important for us to understand on a CNC machine that our coordinates and our 0, 0 can change many times depending on what we're trying to do and which coordinate system that we're in. Remember that we talked about the use of the machine coordinate system, the fixture offsets, your work coordinate system. We've got the relative coordinate system, distance to go, the differences between absolute and incremental. So we've got several different changes that could be made to our positional coordinates depending on how we want to utilize the machine and the movement of the tool around the machine. So this exercise here on the coordinate homework is designed to kind of help you understand what's going on and how we are making some changes to the coordinates. So the very first question, and if you recall, we've got basically, excuse me, we've got the 6 points here, and we're told that M is the machine 0 point, and P is our part reference point. So now, real quick, we're going to kind of do this. I'm going to break this up into a machine coordinates system and a work coordinate system. So we'll say MCS for machine coordinates and work coordinate system there as well. So, and we'll have this here too, machine coordinate system and work coordinate system. Now, our machine coordinate system right here is X0, Y0. And we're going to first do what's referred to as the work shift. And we're going to go to our work shift offset here. So, well, what's our work shift? That's the distance from our machine 0 to that part reference 0. So we're going to count over. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the X. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the Y. So here we are, X of 10, Y of 6. And my machine coordinate, I'm going to place this X 10, Y 6. Now my work coordinate system right here is 0, or X0, Y0. Now, makes sense then, if my machine coordinate system here is X0, Y0, and 10, X10, Y6 up here, and I change my work coordinate system to X0, Y0, then my work coordinate system down here is just going to be the opposite of that. So my work coordinate system down here is going to be X minus 10, Y minus 6. Now, we have all of these other points that we need to talk about as well. And we could say that there's a machine coordinate system and a work coordinate system for each of these points. We will certainly see that in the machines, but our controllers kind of don't always work that way. We use the incremental and the reference points and our absolute points generally, where it's kind of given off of those points already and where we're shifting our work offset here. So the first question says, what are the absolute coordinates for the following points? And when we're talking now about the absolute points, we're going off of our part reference 0, or the work coordinate system here for this, our work shift. So for M, that means again, so this is going to be our minus 10 in the X and our minus 6 in the Y. Now our P then, of course, is going to be 0, 0, because we set that as our absolute. Now, we can sit there then and we can go from every point comes from this 0, 0. So in absolute terms, we're going 1, 2, 3 in the Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the X. Now, I kind of went y and then x. Don't let me confuse you there, because we always generally probably want to go x first, and my x is going to be -7. My y here is 3. All right. Now it's wanting B, point B on here, and that point is again referenced from our part 0. So in my x, I'm going to be 1, 2, 3, and again I'm going to the left, so that's going to be a minus. So our x is -3, and now we can count up in our y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in our y. So our y is 11. Point C, again, this is referenced off of our point 0 over here, our part reference. So again, in my x, I'm going to count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in my x. So that will be 8 in my x, and 1, 2, 3 in my y. And of course, because I'm kind of going down, or I'm going in the negative direction, this is going to be -3. All right, now our last point is point D over here. And again, if we know that that's in the same x, so here we're going to be x of 8, and y now is going to be positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Y of 8 there. Those are the first questions here. The next set of questions comes in as saying, all right, well, what are the incremental coordinates for these moves? And we're starting that at point P. Now remember, incremental goes from that current point. So it's saying, well, we're starting out at x0, y0, or point P, and we're moving to point A incrementally. What is that going to be? Well, we're counting back now, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're -7 in the x, and 1, 2, 3, +3 in the y. Now it's going to go to point B. And our 0, because this is incremental, our 0, 0 starts completely over. So we're starting, and now A is at 0, 0. So we're going to count now to B in incremental. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in the x, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the B, or 8 in the y for our B. Okay. Now we're moving from point B over to point C. And again, this is an incremental, so now it's a move from here. So our 0, 0 resets itself here, and we need to go over in the x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So our x here is 11, and now we're counting down to C, so that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, a -14 in the y to get us over point C. Now we're moving back up to point D, and incremental again here, so that means that incrementally our 0, x0, y0 is here, so we're going straight up to D, so we have no movement in the x, so that's x0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, and our y is +11. So, difference between using absolute coordinates based off of here, or using incremental coordinates as we move from one point to another. Next, it's saying what are the relative coordinates for an operator origin at point B. Now, remember I said we can set 0 at any place on our table that we want. So in this case, we're saying we're going to set the origin at point B right here. And it's saying, all right, so what is that point? Well, if we are making our point B as our relative coordinate origin, that means this now becomes 0, 0 at point B. And we're saying to go from point B to point A. Well, now we got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to the left, so our x is going to be negative. And we're going down, so this will be negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So negative 8 at that point. All right. Now, to go to point C, we're coming back up here. Remember, this says relative coordinates for an operator at point B. So we're always starting at point B right here. And now we're going to point C. So what is that? Well, let's count over. If this is our 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So our x is 11, and our y is going to be negative. So negative, in this case, will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So negative 14 there in our y. Okay. Now we're back up to point B because we're relative coordinators and our operator origin is up here at point B. And we're going to point D now. So, oh, I messed up here on C. I'm sorry, I give you D instead. So we're going to change this around. I just made that to point C was all the way down here. So notice our point D is the same thing. It's 11 here as well, but our y is 1, 2, and 3. So our y is minus 3. So I guess I didn't actually mess up. I thought that I'd passed over and I was kind of getting mixed. So you got to be careful as we look at these because it's real easy to kind of get your coordinates changed around. And of course, we can crash a machine, or we can make mistakes that way. So we're always wanting to double check and make sure that we understand what's going on and where these are coming from. All right. Now lastly, we're going back. So our relative coordinate from our operator origin up here to point P. Well, that's going to be 1, 2, 3 in the x, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This will be negative 11 in the y. Lastly, we've got these last 5 coordinates, and this is asking what are the machine coordinates for the following points. So, well, all of these coordinates are going to come off of our machine coordinate system. So when we go and say, all right, well, what is point P? Well, that's our machine coordinate system. So this is going to be x of 10, y of 6. Now it's going to go to A. And on the machine coordinates, everything is coming off of our machine 0 point here. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3 in the x. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the y. Going to B, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the x. And of course, we know that this is going to be 9. So then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 in the y. So now we're going all the way over to C. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 in the x, and 1, 2, 3 in the y. D is on the same thing, so our x is going to be 18 there as well. And our y will start here at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So all coming off of our machine coordinate system here when we're talking about these coordinates. Now, here's a quick way to double check. So if I, as the operator, said, okay, I'm going to set this as my 0 for a relative coordinate, then what would my relative coordinate be to go back to M? Well, that's just going to be the reverse of my machine coordinate. So in that case, I would just have to punch in x minus 18, y minus 14, and it would go back over to this point here as well. So that is the basis here for this homework. So you may need to watch this a couple of times, kind of go through and absorb this information. You just got an awful lot here about how all of these coordinates might change based on what our objectives and how we want to move parts around here. Now you might ask, all right, well, Mr. Curry, why don't we just always go off of the machine coordinate system? Well, the idea of the work shift is that it makes it easier and we can always reassign this. So ideally, when we're looking at parts and a blueprint of a part, depending on where our XY on that part is, this gives us the ability to kind of shift that X0, Y0 over. So our numbers make more sense off of the part as opposed to being off of the machine. And that would be one of the reasons why we're able to do this. But a good, thorough understanding of how all these coordinate systems work as applied to our machine control is really important. So go ahead and get your practice done on your homework. This is kind of the video for you to see. I've demonstrated how to do it. Now you try to think it through and get that homework assignment done here where you're figuring out what these are. And just kind of follow the same process that I just demonstrated.